But back to what we were talking about, you have the two trains of thoughts. You could bust your ass and take your life a little easier, like when you're 40, which I never had the opportunity to do that life, like to have a house or anything. Or you could, listen, it's your fucking journey. It's your journey. So you pick it. If you're okay by looking at other people and not feeling insecure, like I always felt insecure. I'm 32, I don't have this. I'm 35, I don't have this. I'm 40, I don't have this. Right now, in the state that we're at in this country, it's going to be very hard for somebody young to buy a house. It's fucking horrible, horrible. And guess what? They don't want you to have a house. They don't want you to have a house. They want you to rent the rest of your fucking life. So don't feel bad about that. You know, I didn't have my first car. I don't know how fucking old I was. I had friends that had fucking Z28s when they were 16 and a half. They couldn't even have a car till they were 17. I'm on a fucking #1 bus. We're going up to Kennedy Boulevard, busting my ass, waiting for the bus in the wintertime. That's shitty fucking life, but I did it, and I pay, I wanted to snort coke and jump up and down. You can't have your fucking cake and eat it too. That's the way life is. So for me, I didn't know what was going to happen. I just wanted to fucking die at some points in my life. I was like, why am I still alive? I snort coke with 2 hands. I eat potato chips. I don't take care of myself, but I don't know. Somebody had a bigger fucking plan. But for me, it was, I lucked out. Somebody told me these words one time, and I took them to heart because it fit me and who I was. And it's like, it's not a sprint. It's a fucking marathon. And you do it to how it works for you and how accordingly it works for you. Don't worry about what the people around you are doing. That will put you in a fucking grave. That will make you go to therapy if you start comparing yourself to other people. And listen, I didn't learn that till I started going to jiu-jitsu. That if I look at a 20-year-old and go, why am I doing that? Joey, you got him by 40 fucking years. You could do everything you want in the world. You're not going to be able to do that, but there's things you're going to be able to do. Work on those. Who's better than your Uncle Joey?
Nobody.
Fucking nobody, cocksuckers. Talk to you about fucking Lee Syatt. Mike and I were talking some shit about Lee Syatt before how. Guys, if the church was still around, let's get back to what Mike and I were covering. We were talking about like comparisons and shit like that with your life. I was just telling Mike how after Lee did the last time Lee was in studio and we did a podcast, I don't know, maybe 2-3 months ago, I realized that Lee and I career as podcasters were really officially over. Like when we ended the church, we ended it amicably, and it was just a great run. 8 years, time to move the fuck on, We couldn't lead that life anymore, whatever. It was just rough on us, the edibles, the 10,000 milligrams a fucking night. My piss was coming out purple with smoke on it, My smoke would come out of my dick, then piss would come out, then a little smoke would come out of your dick. When that happens, you got a fucking problem. So, I was telling Mike that fucking, when Lee was here last podcast we did together, that was when I left here, and I was a little sad that day. After the podcast was up, I didn't say nothing to anybody. I never thought of doing the church again. Like because I knew there was no way. There was no way we could keep up with the smoking and the edibles. There's no way. That was just a window in time. You know what I'm saying? But I realized that day that we were done as podcast partners. We're still great friends. I love them with all my heart. But as far as partners or whatever, that was done with podcast type shit, And I was telling Mike before that Lee and I were talking a few weeks ago, and he was telling me, we're talking about the church. And if we did the church again, like, I don't have the time. It's so funny how your life changes. When we did the church, it was a 5-hour minimum adventure all the time. We would do the church we would meet at 7 and we would leave there at 12:30, 1 in the morning. Sometimes we'd leave at 6:30. We'd get new edibles or a new fucking weed strain or something. And we'd meet there an hour before. We would smoke fucking an eighth before the podcast would even start, man. An eighth. Between bong hits and joints and blunts, and then eating edibles, and then who would stop by while we were doing the podcast. I don't have the fucking time anymore. Like I was telling Mike, I feel so. I was telling Lee, I told Lee that I feel bad because I don't do anything with Mike. We do a podcast and that's it. Mike don't have the fucking time to jump up and down, and neither do I. We got kids. We got, in L.A., yeah, I still had Mercy those 5 years, but I had more of a window. She was younger. My wife wasn't working. I had more time. That ship sailed. My wife went back to fucking work. She's like, if you're not going to travel, I'm going back to work. And I didn't blame her. But it's so funny how your life changes. Anyway, we're back. It's so funny in 2 years how the window of my life changed. Like, I don't have fucking those 6 hours to do. I'd love to sit around with somebody, get a fuck. I went to look at some offices this week. Not good. I went to Thursday. I went down to Neptune, which just saying that word scares me. I came to Neptune, New Jersey when I was a kid for Biddy basketball. It was a terrible experience. I never thought I'd be back to Neptune. And now I live, 20 minutes, 30 minutes from fucking Neptune. So I went down to Neptune to look at a fucking, at an office the other day. And not too fucking shabby. But we're going to keep, I know a lot of realtors in this area. So like last night I was talking to one guy and I go, if you see anything, let me know. A garage. Like we'll put heaters in there. I'll light that motherfucker on fire. We'll have a good time in there. But back to what we were talking about. It's just time. Things change, man. Things change. They're not going to stay. I've had that experience since I moved back here. I moved back after 40 years to let me know what my life was really like, where I stood in my life with my friends, my life, my whole fucking thing. So I don't mind any of this shit at all. Things change, guys. They're not going to be the same forever. As a matter of fact, Lee called me the other night. I was watching The Honeymooners with my daughter Saturday night. We'd watch The Honeymooners every fucking Saturday. And Lee called me up. Guys, my phone used to ring all fucking day. Now it rings during business hours. Nobody calls at night, thank God. Every once in a while, the phone rings. My brother George, Lee, maybe somebody from California wants to check in. And it's so fucking weird.